Hello, everybody. It's a good afternoon, it's a good morning, it's a good evening, it's a good night as well, you know, wherever you are in the globe, whether you're in Canada, whether you're in America, whether you're in Montenegro. Yeah, they're all listening in Montenegro. They're listening here, obviously. They're listening everywhere. They're listening all around the globe, and it's great. And I'd just like to say a big hello to the lovely Angela Wood, who's actually over there in New York. And what she's doing, she's a big Liverpool football fan, and she's coming over there. And what she's actually doing, she's watching the Manchester City and Burnley game, and she'd be like that, biting the nails and everything else. So, you know, I think it's a good morning to Angela, because it's morning there in New York City. We've got June Ashby, Eddie Byrne, Chris Pacino. Hello, Chris. His dad is a good friend of mine. Very good. Well, we were little schoolmates, put it that way. Good friends. George Jones and Peter Tennant. George is a friend of mine. Lindsay Ellis. Hiya, Lynn. Terry Gill, Mark Kennish. Good afternoon, Frank and all. I'm tuned in. Tony Murray has joined. Steve Waddle's joined. Now, I've got two very special guests with me today. And why am I shouting? I don't know why I shout. It's the way I am, I suppose. But anyway, I have two very special guests. And I've been trying to get this fella for years. I really have, you know, to come on the show. And I finally got him. And he's sitting right next to me. Now, this fella is a very special fella. I'll tell you for why. When I was a lot younger, I used to go to... Don't try and figure out my age, by the way. Don't try and figure it out. I used to go to a place called the Iron Door, simply because I only ever went to the cavern twice. Once, when the first time I ever went, was going down the stairs to get in, and it was a queue. And all of a sudden, there was commotion, because who was coming down the stairs? They weren't that famous then. But who was coming down the stairs was a band, and a drum bounced, a drum bounced down. And my mate who was in front of me, when I was hit on the back of the head by the drum, and he turned around, he was a bit skirmish. Anyway, you know, we got thrown out. We never even got to the door, we were thrown out, you know, up the stairs. And who that was the Dave Clark Five. They were going in, and we got lashed out. Anyway, so the last time I ever went to, I think it shut a week later. I just went down there, you know, with a couple of friends, just for the sake, because we knew that it was coming down, unfortunately. But after us getting thrown out of there, of the, you know, with the Dave Clark Five lot, we went around. One of the lads turned around and said, "Come on, we're going down the Iron Door." I said, "Oh, where's the Iron Door?" Anyway, we went around the Iron Door, and I was there ever since. Absolutely brilliant, all-nighters, you know. The amount of bands that was on, but I've got the owner sitting right here, and it's Geoff Hogarth. Hello, Geoff.
Hello, Frank.
How are you?
I'll be better as the day goes on.
Will you be better as the day goes on? Well, I hope so, because there's lots of lovely people listening in.
Yes.
And it'll be very interesting anyway, because well, we'll be having great conversations. And I've got someone else. I thought this girl was very quiet. So very quiet. She won't say a word, you know, be hard to get a word. Since she's been in here now, half an hour, sitting in the studio, just having a cup of tea. As you can see, you know, nice cup of tea, nice biscuit as well. And she hasn't stopped talking. Honestly. No, she's a lovely girl. And her name is Sarah Hogarth, the daughter of the great Geoff. Hiya, Sarah.
Hiya, Frank. It's a lot talking I've been doing.
Yeah, so we gave her a lozenge, because her throat was getting all raw, you know, with the talking and everything else. So you're here for a special thing, aren't you? A special reason.
Yeah.
Don't say it yet.
Okay, I won't.
Don't say it yet, because what we'll be doing is talking about we'll be talking to this great man sitting on my left, your dad,
Right.
Geoff, about lots of things. Paul Foster's joined, Tony Murray. Good afternoon from the seaside resort of Garston, near Liverpool. Exotic place, that's only exotic. And he's a good red. June Ashley, and guests, thank you, June. Alan Hughes joined, Phil Smith. Hello from Long Beach, California.
Long Beach.
Long Beach, California. How about that, Phil Smith? Cheers, Phil. I hope you're having a lovely time on Long Beach, California. I'm having a great time here, by the way. I haven't even asked a question yet. Anyway, so we've got exotic Garston, right? And Long Beach, California, can't get any better. We've had New York City as well, don't forget, Jeff. Carol Redaway, good afternoon from sunny Huddersfield. Hello, Carol. That's lovely. Sunny Huddersfield, of course it's sunny there. And it's a shame that Huddersfield, are actually going into the Championship. But I'm sure that manager, I'll tell you what, they put up a better show than Manchester United did against City. Huddersfield, they put up a better show playing Liverpool. Anyway, what we're going to, I'm going to ask now Geoff Hogarth why he got involved in the music scene. This is the Mersey beat era. This is the time of the Beatles. This is the time of everyone. And Geoff was right smack bang in the middle of it. So Geoff, the Iron Door, what's your finest memory? Genuine, what's your finest memory and the biggest iconic person that you met in the Iron Door?
Well, the memory I have of the all-night sessions, and we used to have 11 bands on, and 22 bouncers, and they went on from 8 to 8, and Teddy Taylor and King Size Taylor and the Dominoes, we always used to put Teddy on and his band, Dominoes, on the last session, because he used to keep the crowd there. There used to be 500 people there at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I would be working in the coffee bar all night, and I wouldn't be able to get out of there until the crowd slimmed down about, 7 o'clock in the morning. And my memory is of coming out of the coffee bar, being able to come out and walk, because there were that many people there, you couldn't move, and walk down the stairs into the basement with the breeze coming through the door, with the open door. Yeah. And there is Teddy Taylor and the Dominoes on the stage. Yeah. And the shivers just go, even when I think about it now, is the shivers are there all the time. I'm thinking about that particular morning. Well, not only that particular morning, every time they played there, it used to be the same situation, well, that's a lingering memory anyway.
Do you know what though? They are it's not such a profound memory, if you like, something that you can get your teeth into. Yeah. But it's just a nice memory, isn't it? That little breeze, as you said, coming through the door, and obviously cooling you down because you're there, aren't you? And then all of a sudden you're seeing they were a great band, weren't they? King Size Taylor and the Dominoes, absolutely brilliant.
Yes, certainly was, yes.
So who's the most iconic person you've met at the Iron Door?
Well, 1960, early 1960, we had a visitor, and this fella turned out to be Count Basie.
Go away.
Now, he'd been touring. Now, he came with a reporter who'd been in the club many times, and he'd asked the fella, this reporter, if he could take him around a few places in Liverpool. Now, I don't think he was. I think he'd been touring in Bradford. I think he was in Bradford. I don't think he was in Liverpool, because I tried to check up on this. Anyway, who should come through the door but Count Basie, saxophone player, and this reporter. And, well, you wouldn't forget that, would you?
No, I think, Count Basie and his orchestra, he had an orchestra. Well, it was jazz, wasn't he, really?
Well, he had his short band then,
Yeah.
and he used to call his short band the Kansas City Five.
Yeah.
And I had a long chat with him in the bar, because we couldn't talk in the main area. We went where it were quiet in the bar, we closed the door, and he told me all about his escapades in Kansas City, where he used to be taking drugs and
well, that's nice.
lying in the gutter with all the, and apparently all his band were like
Skid
that.
Row, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Skid Row.
And that was a lasting memory for me.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, as well, when you meet these people, and they're so down to earth, because I was in St. George's Hall, Sarah, one day, and I was given a talk the next day, so I went down for a sound check. So I had to go along the balcony, and I seen like a little group of people. It was empty, so I seen a little group of people, standing there, and they were looking up. So anyway, I was walking down, and I said, can I help, they were curious about something. And I said, can I help you? And they went, who are you? And I said, oh, well, I'm a historian. I said, so I know a little bit about the place. So anyway, he pointed at it and told them. Anyway, the next performance, I said, listen, I'm just going along here to give a sound check. Right, so I brought them in. I said, would you like to see it? Yeah, okay. So he came along, went in, the small concert room. And, made like being, I had to go on the stage. And I went like that. Well, that's all right, Mama. That's all right by me. So when I did that, and they went, that's great, that Frank, okay, the people in the sound. So I got off, I said, yeah, come with me. And I brought them around, and they thought that I was a singer. They thought I was an Elvis tribute, because I did that, instead of 1, 2, 3, Anyway, I took that little thing, and they thought I was a singer. Now, I didn't recognise there was one girl within that group of people. One girl, right? And I didn't recognise her because she had a big floppy hats.
Oh, yes.
And a bandana right around her face and big shades, big sunglasses, that big anyway, right? And I found out later that she thanked me and everything else, and bought a DVD off me, because I was making DVDs of Liverpool at the time, And she bought a DVD off me. Do you know who it was?
No.
Gloria Estefan.
Oh, right.
Oh.
And I didn't even know who she was. And she thought that I'm a tribute Elvis act. I'm not like, can't sing. Kevin Letts has joined us. William Gray. William Gray's a musician, by the way. Michael Halligan. Ken Vance, a priest. He used to be around here, St. Francis Xavier's there up in Shore Street. Great fella, Ken. Jeff Stafford, Carol Cormer Flynn, Neil Clark. Hiya, Carol. Sorry there, just to bypass it. Hiya, Neil. Sean Francis Porter. What a name. Sean Francis Porter. Hey, some name that, especially Francis. Afternoon, Frank. Afternoon, Carol. Craig Jenkins joins, and Robert Quinn. Hiya, Robert. Hiya, Craig. So, Sarah.
Frank.
Right, the daughter of this great man, Geoff, right?
Yeah.
I think you've been itchy, haven't you?
Partially.
A little freak going on. When's he going to talk to me,
I wasn't. You told us not to talk while you were talking, so it's been very good.
She has, actually. I did, Sarah. I said, listen, don't be talking while I'm talking, or your dad's talking. Anyway, you've got a special thing coming on about the Iron Door, am I right?
Yeah. I'm a drama lecturer at John Moores University. And me and my colleague, Andrew Sherlock, who's a local playwright from Liverpool. The most recent thing he did, which is kind of related to this, is the Epstein play. He wrote that opened the Epstein. He also happens to be married to my sister. So he's been in our family for a very long time. And me and him, I've listened to my dad telling these amazing stories about the Iron Door, like all my life, and he's heard them, playing games of pool with my dad and until early hours in the morning. So we decided that we should apply for some research money from John Moores University to kind of look at the Iron Door and why it's a bit of a forgotten club. Why hasn't it got its place in history when we believe, and many others, that it was the first place in the city centre of Liverpool that played rock and roll music. They took it from the outskirts and brought it to bigger audiences in the city centre. And it was doing that way before the Caverns, just the Caverns got that association with the Beatles. It also had, the Iron Door had a massive kind of pull on the people who went there. It's got like lots of people who went there, loved it. And what we discovered, I used to think it was edgier than the Cavern, but what I've discovered through this research is people said, no, it was friendlier. It was friendly in there.
Absolutely.
And it was homely and it was warm and I felt safe.
Absolutely.
And that's the big thing that
I think that's great, because I can concur with that, because, as I said, you know, it's not just because we couldn't get into the Cavern or whatever, because we would have tried. And once we went around to the Iron Door, yeah, and Sarah, it wasn't what you said. It drew you. It drew you in, and it was great. And the people were great. The bands were great. The Undertakers, you know, they were like, oh, absolutely great. Absolutely great. You know, these are the band, Rory Stone.
Rory, yeah.
I was on the steps going in, you know, and it was this fella, and he came and he like back, because you used to go up the stairs there, didn't you, into the Iron Door. And this fella came and he stood there. He was tall, wasn't he?
He was tall.
Rory Stone. And he had, never forget this, he had this checked Teddy Boy coat suit thing on, with the, you know, obviously the long coat, Teddy Boy coat. Checked, it was like a reddish, like a tartan, right, velvet colour. And he had shot blonde hair, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
And he had this Teddy Boy, you know, cut, and drain pipes and crepe soles. Yeah. And he was brilliant. I didn't know him. I never had a clue, but I just thought he was one of the punters, you know, like going in. Anyway, he wasn't. He was the band, and what a performer, eh? Yeah,
he was a he was.
Geoff Hogarth asked, what Sue Purcell, are you Sue? She's just joined us. Geoff Hogarth, what is Geoff's funniest or most early recollection, Carrie, was have done anything differently? P.S. They taught you Kenny Rogers tribute, Frank. That's true, though, isn't that? I went to a function down at this particular place, right, and there was a tribute of Dolly Parton on, right, and she was good. So I had to get up and not give a song or anything. I had to like give a little talk, and there's Dolly next to me, and you know, going, people who were late looking in and going like that. Is that Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton? Islands in the Stream, yeah. Anyway, so what's your most earliest, you know, or was you done anything differently, you know, in any situation there?
No, I wouldn't have done anything differently, no. No. The policy was to try and book as many local bands as we could. I had plenty of opportunity to book all the big bands that the Cavern used to shove on, but I wouldn't succumb to that. I used to stick with the, try and get as many local bands on the stage as possible to give them a chance.
Absolutely, because I met the Searchers. They were a regular band there, the Mojos. Yes. The Undertakers, who were mentioned, Rory Storm, as I mentioned. Yes. You know, these bands were brilliant. And as you said, Geoff, about, you know, the all-nighters, and the all-nighters were great, you know, Sarah, they were great nights. And we used to go home and get a few slaps off, you know, your mum or your grandmother, you know, for being out all night, you know.
See, I thought we invented the all-nighters in the 90s. I didn't know you had them.
Oh, we had them all. I was only 4. Not having anyone guessing my age there, you know. I was only 4 and a half, I think. I used to get beat up when I used to go in. Jane Roberts has joined, Richard Jenkins has joined, Stephen Metcalf will be like that. Do you know why Stephen will be biting his nails now? Football, because Liverpool, you know, we're not playing today. So our great rivals, Manchester City, are. Paul Meadows has shown Supercell, the big three, the best group on Merseyside.
Yeah,
What do you think?
Oh yes, yes.
Big three.
They were big three were good.
They were good, weren't they?
Yes, I was familiar with the big three when Adrian was with them, and we had a lot to do with Cass and the Casanovas.
Oh yeah.
And when Cass left, they were left with just three members, and they thought we're not going to make much noise with just three of us on the stage.
Yeah.
And that was Hutchison, Gustafsson, and Adrian Barber. And Adrian decided that he was going to make some amplifiers, pretty powerful amplifiers, because they thought they weren't going to make enough noise on the stage.
Yeah.
So Adrian made these, what became famous, coffin amplifiers. They're about 5 or 6 foot high, and he had these huge speakers in these wooden cabinets. All the groups tried to get these coffin cabinets off Adrian, and that was the idea. There were just three of them on stage, so they needed a bigger amplification, and that's how they came about anyway.
Do you know? Did you ever? Do you know? Like as time passed, Geoff, as time passed, because you know you did our particular thing about getting the local bands on.
Yes.
Did you ever? Did you ever get offered the Beatles to appear there, or what? Or do you ever regret that the Beatles never ever went on the islands?
Well, it didn't make much difference to me. Well, I didn't particularly like the Beatles, to be honest with you.
I don't.
They did play at the Iron Door, though.
Yeah, well.
No, I'm certain.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
What's your name?
There were in the early days. There were a lot better groups than the Beatles. The Beatles weren't very good when they first started,
Yeah.
and there were a lot better groups, even when they became popular, than the Beatles. I thought anyway. That's
who's your group? You know, what bands did you say?
The band that there was a group called Howie Casey and the Seniors, and this is going back to 1961. They were the first group to go to Hamburg, by the way.
Okay.
Apart from the Bin Men, the steel band.
Okay.
They went first, and then Iwi went with Jerry Wilkie.
Oh yeah.
And they were the first Liverpool band to go to Hamburg. And they stayed there for about a year, and then they run out of money and the contracts had run out. So they came back to Liverpool. And we booked them when they just arrived back from Hamburg. There was Howie Casey and Frank Winchley. He was the brother of Billy Fury. Yeah. And Jerry Wilkie and Freddie Starr.
Oh yeah.
And that there were another couple of members, I can't remember the name. And that's the group that sticks out in my mind. Of all the groups I've seen kicking around, they're the group that sticks well into my mind.
It just shows you, doesn't it? You know, I'll tell you, do you know who sticks out in my mind, besides the Undertakers and Rory Storm? It was the Dennisons.
Oh, yes.
I saw the guy now, it's taking my love away from, you know, I'm a forgotten singer. I always wanted to be a singer, and it's not bad like it. But anyway, here I am. I'm here talking to Sarah and Geoff. You know. Anyway, but you know, Geoff, you know, like getting back to the days of the 60s. I'm coming to you in a moment, actually. Do you know, getting back to the 60s and the vibration, the liveliness, and the enthusiasm of Liverpool at the time, you know, it was incredible, wasn't it? Because we were all like swallowed up in it, the Mersey sound.
Yes. Yeah, engulfed us all, yes.
Well, this is it, and this is the likes of what, like Sarah, you know, do you reckon that, you know, with this play, about the Iron Door, do you think that you'll be able to recreate any sort of that atmosphere? And
well, this is our big challenge, Frank. I've noticed someone's put, we need to play about this, Linda Ellis.
Oh, Linda Ellis, yeah, we need to play a song about that. She should be on here.
And Sue,
Yeah,
she used to go.
Look, she's conversation. Anyway, I used
How
to
long
go
ago the Iron Door?
Well, yeah, you know, look, that was Supercell, as she said there, you know, I used to go to the Iron Door, and the Big Three were the best group on Merseyside, so obviously she's seen the Big Three.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Well, so this event is called A Night at the Iron Door, and it's happening on the 23rd of May in the Royal Court Studio. And this is our massive challenge, we're not going to be able to recreate, well, we are. We're going to try and recreate that atmosphere and that buzz through a live band, and we've got dancers, and we've got we're using multimedia techniques and film to kind of bring in.
Well, that would bring it in,
Yeah.
wouldn't it? You know, that would create an atmosphere.
No, it will, and it's just that from talking to people, it sounds like it was the atmosphere was electric, and to try and create that. We were looking at actually putting the event on in the old Iron Door building, but it's gone. It's a car park now.
You know what? Do you know what my memory is of the Iron Door? Hey, this is great. I got me like first kiss.
Oh, that's a good story.
I was dancing, you know, this girl when I was dancing, I went, yeah, all right. So anyway, we were dancing there, and do you know what? I could still smell it, the lacquer, you know, lacquer on her there. And she put her arms around me, you know, my neck, my shoulders, and I was like, what's this? You know, so I'm dancing away like that. She gave me a kiss, and then she went, see ya, and I went, come back. Come back. I'm loving it. Come back. I was saying it after that. She, you know, into that 400 or so people, she just disappears. I wonder if she's listening then. She'll be selling her age, you know. Anyway, that was a great memory. So, you know, it's memories like that.
Yeah, so we've been interviewing people. Yeah, that's a brilliant memory, but we've been talking to people about their experience in the Iron Door, what they remember about it. So that's going to be part of the event on the 23rd. And then hopefully there'll be people. And so if you love rock and roll music and you went the Iron Door, if you didn't, but you were just on Liverpool at that time, this night is for you. It's going to be a great time to reminisce, think back to those times, and maybe bump into who you might know.
Yeah, you know,
from that time.
Because there will be not just like the people who never went, but the younger generation as well, to see what it's all about. But they'll be getting like the regulars who went, you know. And as you said, Sarah, you know, if you see someone with grey hair like us,
yes.
someone like that, says, you go there, yeah, I was there, you know. But it's good, and so there where you can interact as well. You see, so absolutely.
That's one of the reasons why we've chosen a young band instead of one of the bands that.
Well, you'd have to, because you know it's no use having a band on that are like, I'm not being funny, you know, the older generation. But you'd have to have a young band on, because that all the bands then were young.
Yeah.
Am I right? So you know, you're creating that,
but also making
atmosphere.
Yeah, and making that connection to them. Look, this is part of history, and this is part of the history of this city.
Absolutely.
And making that connection. So,
that's great. That. Oh, do you know what? Do you know what? They put a plaque on, didn't they, down on Stanley Street?
He did.
And
Temple Street.
Yeah, Temple.
We took him there a couple of weeks ago.
Well, I went down there to, you know, for the opening.
Frank
was there, wasn't he? A few others, and
and
I was there.
Yeah.
And it was nicked, wasn't it? The next day.
It was nicked.
It was nicked. It was gone.
Oh, I don't know about that, Frank.
It was. Believe me, because I was bringing a group of people around, and they were American.
Oh, right.
Right. And I was showing them where the cabin was, but I went along Dale Street, and I went down. I went down Temple Street. No, seen it. You know, I knew where it was because I remember where the plaque was, and I said, "You'll see a plaque here." Wasn't there? It's gone.
Yeah.
And I said, I had to say, no, I never said like someone's nicked it. What I said was, oh, it's been taken off to be cleaned, you know, and the words to be highlighted more, you know. So they went, wow, it's a shame that, you know, because I told them about the rivalry between, but it wasn't really a rivalry between the Cavern and the Great Iron Door. It wasn't a rivalry at all, because everybody, and I mean everybody, who went there was just great. And, you know, when people recollect or, you know, and have these wonderful memories and you say about the Cavern or the Irons, or I was only talking to someone, just a few weeks ago, to be honest, Geoff and Sarah, and just chatting away, you know, the way you do. And they said, did you ever go to the Cavern? And I went, well, you know, no. And I used to go to the Irons. Oh, she said, so did I. So, you know, that's like the connection that you want to generate as well, you know, with this wonderful play. When's the date?
So it's the 23rd of May, and if you want tickets, you go to the Royal Court website, and you'll just see it in the What's On section, and you can book tickets through there.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Have you got anyone to review it?
Not the moon. Yeah, of course.
Can I go and review it? You know.
We'll sort your tickets out.
Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful. And you know, you're talking about Italians and everything. There's a fellow, Carlo Muscatelli, senior. All right, Frank, enjoy the show, mate. And, that's all the way from where do you reckon? Carlo Muscatelli.
Rome.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Roma Street, you know, Roamer, Roma Street, in the south ends of the city.
All right.
I'm only joking. No, he's a little friends of the family, actually. Carlo. Keith Lloyd's joins, and Paul Muscatelli, he's joined. All the Muscatellis are listening in. Perché io parlo molto lingua italiano, molto bene. They're all the Italians. They all love, you know, they love the. I think so anyway. John O'Brien's joined. Richard Jenkins. The Cabaret Club, the Frontier Bar, both in Duke Street. So absolutely, you're right there. Captain Thomas.
Were they 60s bands? Were they 60s
they
clubs?
were more like 70s, coming into the 70s and the 80s. John Chiravena. And do you know where she's from?
No.
Montenegro.
Oh, right.
They've joined in. Brilliant people. Spadgy Bowden has joined. Spadgy, is that Spadgy? It is Spadgy, isn't it? It is Spadgy. Joined. Mick Shields has joined. Hiya, Mick. He goes up into, no, I can't tell you where he goes up because it's our rival. Supercell, a great. To Kevin Fairclough, he's joined Sue Johnson. And Kevin Fairclough said, did you work with Alan Williams? Did you ever work with him?
No.
You knew him though?
Oh, yeah. Before he opened the Blue Angel, he came down to the Iron Door to find out about the licenses, because we were pretty well up on the licenses, and that's he wanted to license the Blue Angel then.
Oh, the Blue, yeah.
So do you want to talk about the Beatles edition for Larry Parnes?
Yeah.
Would you like to talk about that, Frank?
Oh, was it like, I thought you was going to talk about it.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
Yeah, because it's interesting. Being as we mentioned the Wyvern Club, which became the Blue Angel.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how Alan Williams and Larry Parnes got together. I don't know about that, but they did. And it was decided that there would hold auditions for a band to back Billy Fury on a tour. They wanted a Liverpool band to back him. And so Alan Williams put an advert in the Liverpool Echo for these auditions to be held on the 10th of May in the Wyvern Club. And the Wyvern Club, it just acquired the Wyvern Club. It had been an old Labour club, and it had run its course. So the auditions were held on the 10th of May, and the Beatles turned up without the drummer. So that morning, this particular thing, what I'm going to tell you now, was told to me by John Lennon in 1961 at one of the lunchtime sessions in the Iron Door. So they were wanting to make sure that Tommy Moore. Tommy Moore was the drummer, the Beatles drummer. He was older than them. He was 28-year old at this time. And Tommy Moore had got a job at the bottle works in Garston as a forklift truck driver on nights. And poor Tommy was in bed when they went. They all went round to his house to knock him up to get him to come to the audition. So they knocked on the door and tapped on the window. And the window popped up, and his girlfriend head popped out of the window, and she said, "Tommy's asleep. He's been on nights all night, and could you go away?" Well, she didn't say go away. So,
as you do, yeah.
I'm not going to say.
Yeah, of course, I'm glad you're not.
So they went to the audition without Tommy Moore. So we mentioned Johnny Hutchison before, and Johnny Hutchison was there with the big three, and they asked him to stand in for Tommy Moore. Eventually, by the way, Tommy Moore did turn up, but halfway through the audition, yeah. So they didn't get the Larry Parnes didn't give him the job, but Larry Parnes said, "Look," he said, "I've got a man called Johnny Gentle, one of my singers, going out on tour to Scotland on Thursday." He said, "And I'm quite prepared to let you back him." So, by the way, on that particular day, on the audition, they called themselves the Silver Beatles.
Silver Beatles, yeah.
Right. So 4 days after, they were booked in at Latham Hall. This is on the 14th. And on that particular night, they called themselves the Silver Beats. They changed the name to Silver Beats.
From the Beatles to Silver Beats, yeah.
And so they weren't very good. So Kelly took them off. Now the next day was Sunday. And the Sunday afternoon they played at the Iron Door. And they decided that they were going to call themselves the Silver Beatles. And that's what they wanted to be introduced as the Silver Beatles. They're all dressed in black leathers, and they sprayed in silver blotches on the leathers. So that really was the first time the Silver Beatles had played in public.
At Latham Hall?
No, there were Silver Beats at the Latham Hall. At the Iron Door, there was the Silver Beatles, and that's the first time that played in public.
Well, they are saying now you've heard it first on here, haven't you? The Frank Carlyle show.
And that's well documented now.
Well, there you go, you see, because as I mentioned before, you know, about the Beatles, because the Beatles became big, obviously, with Love Me Do, and Pete Best was the drummer, and they changed them, and Ringo Starr came, but they were well and truly established by then. And that was it. They took off. But by the time we were still going to the Iron Door, you know, there was bands coming up and funny enough, like you know, the Big Three was mentioned, the Dennisons was mentioned as well by somebody there. And Keith Ferrari says back in the day when music was original, not the copycats of today, sounds fabulous, Sarah. That's you. And Linda,
sorry.
Right. Jason, please. Linda Ellis says, "Oh, that's brilliant. That's Sarah Hogarth. I will come along."
Thanks, Linda.
No, they'll all be coming along, to be honest. Kevin Fairclough says, Sam Leach, you know, our Supercell, you know, the Dennisons, she knew the Dennisons. Well, that's Supercell after he said about the Big Three as well. So it's not just like one or two, but it's a load of them.
Yes.
It's a load of them. And do you know what? Do you know what I've seen? Right, yeah, there's something for you. And I used to tell people this. Remember Lewis Collins? He was in the Mojos.
He was in the Kansas City 5.
And the was he?
Yes.
Someone else said that. I said, no, he was in the Mojos. So I
he was in the Mojos. He was
because, you know, he became big, and he's no longer, and Hutch isn't no longer with us now, unfortunately. I've got to say, Richard Jenkins says, Frontier Bar, Duke Street was the time probably the only country and western nightclub around at the time.
What's that one?
It was called the Frontier Bar.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
well, the Frontier, you know, it is Western,
Yeah,
isn't it, really? You know, the
Right.
Frontier. June Ashley says, the Dennisons, the Escorts, we never mentioned the Big Three, Rory Storm, the Searchers, the Undertakers, and of course the Beatles. All of my favourites. I was a member of the Iron Door, went there many times, never went up to an all-nighter, no. Well, I was going to ask you, June, you know, was you the girl that kissed me, you had her arms around me? But seeing that you never visited, you know, that you never went on an all-nighter, it couldn't have been you, unless you're only kidding and saying that, you know, you never went to an all-nighter, and it was you. Yeah, on you, June Ashley. Anyway, you know, so it's great to think that our people are listening in, and John Arnott, Stephen Young, Bobby Dunn, Lee Johnson, Maureen Abel, she's joined. And Supercells actually says, love the cavern. Sonny Boy Williamson, backed by the Yardbirds when Eric Clapton was with them. Great marathon nighters. Jason Pennington's joined. I wonder who he is. Jason Pennington. Yeah, we all know about that Jason Pennington, don't we? Anyway, you know, well, as Andrew Stewart, he's joined. Keith Riley. Shane Paul McDonough wasn't around at the time. He could have backed Billy and given the Beatles a run for their money. Well, funny enough, I've got Paul McDonough coming on the show tomorrow with Tony O'Keefe. And we'll be talking loads of things, not just about entertainment. We'll be talking about current affairs, the old kit and caboodle. And we're going to get a cup of tea now. So what we're going to do, we're going to just have a little chat. I'm going to run the loo as well. Is that all right? So I won't be, honestly, I will not be. I mean, you can talk about the play.
Is that what you're going to do?
Yeah, I'm going to run the loo. I'll have to. I've been here since 7 o'clock this morning waiting for Sarah and Dad.
Do you want me to stop it?
No, you know, it's all right. They can just tune in. I won't be a minute.
I just want to say thank you to Linda Ellis because she shared the link to the event on the Facebook there. Thanks, Linda. So that's where you can get tickets from for the event on the 23rd of May, where you will find out much more about the story. I just wish we'd done this show before.
£6.
Yeah, it's £6 tickets. But if we'd done the show before, we could have got interviewed all these people, all of you lot who used to go there. I'd love to hear your stories about your time at the Iron Door, because that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, we would have. Yeah, no, yeah, that would have been no. Yeah.
Do you remember any of these people? Do you remember
No,
June?
I don't remember names very well.
Someone asked about Sam Leach.
Sam Leach, yes. No, Sam Leach used to promote the all-night sessions at the Iron Door.
How did you meet him?
Oh, Sam, 1960, he was putting a show on at the St. George's Hall, and he couldn't get jazz bands, so he came along to ask us if we could get jazz bands for him. So we managed to get 2 or 3 bands for him to show on at the St. George's Hall, and that's where I first met Sam.
But he was instrumental, wasn't he, to the all-nighters? You and him worked together.
Yes, we worked together on the all-nighters in 1961. Yeah, that was when it was the Liverpool Jazz Society.
Just looking at the other questions.
Okay.
Have you paused it?
No.
Sorry, I'm just reading the comments to see what people are saying. Hutch didn't want to be a Beatle.
No, he didn't. No. Epstein asked him to join the Beatles, and he didn't rate the Beatles highly, didn't Hutch?
Sue said that. Sue Purcell, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
She seems to know a lot.
Oh, she does. she comes on my Facebook just to puts a lot of good stuff on. Excellent stuff.
Have they been licking all the biscuits?
Just killing time.
Just killing Sarah. I bet they've been eating all the biscuits, haven't they? Do you know what? You know when I have my regular show, you know, over Monday evening, Jason puts the biscuits down in a plastic container. So when I came in today, because Geoff's on, very special guest, they're on their plate. Do you know what he said? I said, what are these doing on a plate? And he said, it's all right, it's only cardboard. You know, so yeah, he does look after us, to be honest. Well, anyway, Murray Nabel says, love going to the cavern at lunchtime. I worked at the back of St. John's Market in the early 60s. Remember? Yeah, of course. Supercell Hutch didn't want to be a Beatle.
We just talked about that.
And Katie Baxter's joined, Leanne Atkinson's joined, William Grice's joined, Tony Shaw's joined, and Leanne Atkinson says, hi guys.
Hi.
Hi. So he didn't want to join. What do you eat?
A biscuit.
Oh, that's a big sweet in your mouth. So he didn't want to join.
No, no, he said, I forget what he said now. He said something like, I'm with a better band than the Beatles will ever be. That was with the big three.
Well, in your opinion, Geoff, obviously, you know, with all your experience and getting to know these people, who was a band that, you know, who you thought were great but never quite made it?
I can tell you a girl singer who I thought was great. Yes.
Yeah.
And that was a shame.
Yeah. Why do you think? Do you think she had the wrong management? Or?
Well, that's a possibility.
You know, because like you wouldn't remember Beryl Marsden, would you?
I've seen clips of it.
Yeah,
Did she sing Freight Train?
But
No.
She was a brilliant singer.
We've had her at the Olympia recently.
Yeah.
We've had her at the Olympia recently.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. You know, because
sorry, Frank.
no, go on, carry
No,
on.
when I say recently, within the last 5 years.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well, that is recent, because the unfortunate thing is, you know, you get some people who never quite made it, like the Dennisons. Oh, yet that they made a record, but they never went on, did they? Really?
No.
And yet you had some terrible bands who made it. You know, and I mean bad bands.
Yeah.
That went. I'm not talking about from Liverpool. You know, even outside. You know, of Liverpool.
Yeah.
You know, from the Merseybeat era. But you know, and yet there was some great Liverpool band. I'll tell you who I liked as well. One of my favourite songs, The Crying Shame.
Oh yes.
Oh, one of their songs is absolutely.
They were later.
If I get down on my knees for you.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But you know, the emotion that he puts into it is phenomenal. It really is phenomenal. The Crying Shames. Dennis Peperack, he's joined. You know where Dennis Peperack's joined from?
No.
Tampa Bay, isn't it? Is it Tampa Bay, Florida? It's just, well, he's down there, Florida somewhere. Or could be Fort Lauderdale. I'm not quite too sure, but it is it's the same fella. Graham McFetters has joined, John Murphy's joined, Peter Darling's joined, Lindsay Ellis, don't forget your penny, Frank.
What does that mean?
That means, you know, going to loo there. And Keith Riley said, don't forget to wash your hands. Always do, Keith, as you know. Always do.
How do you know?
Well,
Like said, like you know, it's like, how would you know? Sorry.
no, it's a she.
Oh,
It's a she.
how would she know?
Well, how would she know? Because she knows that I'm under loo, you know, and I always come back and I'm always like my hands. That's why I went like that to you before, you know, to get them dry.
Sorry.
If you know what I mean.
You know what I mean.
Anyway, Lindsay, that was for Geoff, who was the worst band. Who was the worst band? Do you think? Oh, Dennis Peperack's from Tampa Bay. Yeah, Tampa Bay. You know, Florida. with my bandmates, the Incurables, to play it. So he's in a band.
That's a good name, isn't it? For a
The
band?
Incurables. So is he?
Yeah, well, look, when the bands first kicked off, they were all a bit ropey.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, Frank, within a few short months, they were tip-top. After they'd played a few times on the stage and that, and they got used to the atmosphere and this, that, and the other, they were all. I didn't come across a bad one once they'd been on the stage 2 or 3 times. At first, they were a bit, ropey, but they gradually became tip-top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a diplomatic answer.
It is, isn't it? A bit
Well, it's the
ropey.
truth. That's what happened.
Yeah. It's like Mark Kinnish says, I found something interesting in what George Harrison said in an interview once he had said about the Beatles. He said we did okay as the Beatles, but we weren't the best band. And George Harrison actually said that. So it's only what you were saying before, Geoff.
Yes, but the other bands didn't write their own
Yeah.
material, did they? They couldn't compete with that.
So do you reckon
Yeah,
that
maybe.
is one of the big springboards, if you
Yeah.
like, for the
Oh,
success?
certainly.
And their personalities.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, great.
Yeah, they had something
Yeah.
No,
special.
in later years, you couldn't fault the Beatles.
No.
You couldn't fault them
No.
musically or with the stuff,
No.
the material.
Yeah, because no matter how you look,
Yeah.
the Beatles,
Yeah.
that phenomenal,
Yeah. Oh, yes.
and they still are, because
Yeah.
you've only got to look at the way Liverpool is today,
Yeah.
and people, especially Americans and the Japanese and the Germans, they keep coming over. I'm sorry about Germans. Keep coming over.
I don't think I can carry on this show.
To Liverpool. They keep coming over to Liverpool, just for the Beatles, and they always want to go to the cabin, and look at him, he's laughing his little head off. No.
I love the Beatles.
So do I want to be John Lennon, So how can you be John Lennon? But you've got to see me, mate, who's on the show tomorrow evening, Paul McDonough. He's absolutely amazing, and there he is there, and he looks like him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
When you see him on stage, when you see him on stage and he's dressed up,
Yes.
close your eyes, and it's Lennon.
Yeah.
Honestly, he's brilliant. Yeah. He's really brilliant. There he is there. Anyway, that's John for you. Did you like that? Did you like that little? I just amazed myself.
Like John Lennon.
I know. What about kids' questions?
Well, I got a minute. I was doing my impressions, and do you know what? Every time, Geoff, I'm on the show.
When you hog the high.
No, see, every time I'm on the show, I try to give it
Yes.
I try to burst out into song, and someone interrupts.
Yes.
Every time. And when I do a little bit of impersonation, someone, one of my regular guests sits there and goes, well, that was a good Irish impersonation.
Oh, right.
And it's Russian and everything trying to, speak. You have means of it, things like that. Anyway, June Ashley says, met Sam Leach many a time. He put the very first beat night on at the Tower with the Beatles. I was there that night. So, yeah, give you that. And Kit Ferrari says, who is the person, this is for you, Geoff, who is the person you remember the most, and for what reason?
Got to be Freddie Starr.
Freddie.
Yeah.
Was that when he was with that band he was talking about?
Well, he was. That was when I first met Freddie. He was Freddie Fowler then, and he was, as I said, Howie Casey. They had 2 singers, Derry Wilkie, who everybody knows Derry, and Freddie. Now, the Seniors was one of the first Liverpool bands to make a record for Fontana, and Freddie. The band broke up just shortly after they'd done this lunchtime session at the Iron Door, and Freddie stayed behind. I think he was working at Camel Airs at the time, and he never left the club. He kept coming every lunchtime, every day, every lunchtime, and eventually he was getting the bands who were performing to stay behind so that he could start doing his impressions, practicing the impressions on the stage. So I thought, well, I could probably help this fella. So I decided to form a backing band for him. And I don't, if you remember the Swinging Blue Jeans.
Yeah.
Well, Bruce McCaskill was the founder of the Swinging Blue Jeans, along with Tommy Hughes. And they were in the club one afternoon, and I said, I'm thinking about getting a band together to back Freddie Fowle. He was Freddie Fowle then.
Yeah.
And Bruce said, I've already got a band. And I said, well, that's okay then. What are you calling them? He said, we're calling them the Consuls. Well, I didn't like that name at all, Consuls, for a band. So we had a discussion and we decided to call them the Kansas City Five after Count Basie, who called his short band.
Mm.
So that was well, I used to put shows on at the Palace Hotel in Birkdale, jazz bands, and I decided to see how Freddie Fowle would go down there, well, amongst the posh ladies and gents there. So I was making the posters out, and I thought, Freddie Fowle, that's not really a show business name. So I said to Freddie, I said, you have you considered changing your name to, you know? So he said, no, I haven't. So I said, well, perhaps you should think about it. So I said, so Andy said, I'll go away and I'll come back tomorrow with a name. So I was waiting in Temple Street for him to come up the street, because he came up at the same time every day. And I said, have you got a name, Freddie? He said, yes. He said, I want to be called Freddie Starr with 2 R's. And that was how he became Freddie Starr.
Isn't that brilliant?
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant, because when you think of like people changing the names,
Yes.
even changing appearances,
Yeah.
don't they?
Yeah.
You know, because I mentioned Rory Stone,
Yes.
didn't I?
Mm.
Now, if you've seen Rory Stone the way he is, suppose he was coming in every week, we're on the show every week, right? And he was coming in the way he dressed, very flamboyant, by the way. Then all of a sudden, he's just come in, dressed. You know, like Jason, for example. I'm not being funny. Not to me, that Jason, you know, like that. But, you know, you think, wouldn't you? You go, well, he's changed his personality and everything else. You see, so these people, you know, they changed the name, and you know, obviously. But when you said when he was working over in Camberlands, I had the impression of Freddie in those shorts to his knees with the wellies turned.
Oh yes,
and the little moustache there, you don't even know.
Yes. No,
I was thinking of, you know, going somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if this is true. Apparently, he'd come over and he'd climb over the wall at Camberlands to get it out, and he'd climb over the wall, obviously, to get back in. Somebody said, Freddie didn't tell me that, but that's what somebody said.
No, you can imagine. You can imagine him doing it, though, couldn't you?
Yeah.
I've just got to mention some names. Catty Stack Henny is that. Right, Catty Stack Henny. Hiya, Catty. I'm sorry there, because it goes like a little blurry on me. Kevin Fairclough. Beryl Marsden, much better than Silly.
Yeah.
Billy Roberts says, greetings from Cornwall, Frank. Hiya, Billy. Billy's a writer and everything else. He's a lovely fella. Marie Morgan. Hiya, Marie. Marie Morgan's one of my students. Great show. Keep them coming. Thanks, Marie. I suppose, yeah. Thanks, Marie. Really appreciate that. Kifrari, it's true, Sarah. He does.
Not about your hands going to the toilet or something.
My hands going to the toilet. Keith Thomas is joined. Can Geoff name? Yeah, this is Kifrari, guys. She loves you. Can Geoff name a Liverpool band he thinks deserve far more than the Beatles or is worthy? And before you answer that, Dennis McHenry's joined. There's a fella named Les Hodgson.
Oh, yeah.
Les Hodgson. You want to hear him sing. Brilliant.
Oh yeah.
And he's a friend of mine. Brilliant. I went out with him, you know, one night through this. We just went out for a drink. Only, you know, like last year. So anyway, I've known Les for years, and I mean years, you know, since our teens.
Yes.
So we goes into a pub, and there was a karaoke on.
Oh yes.
And he was, I'll get a song, eh? And I went, what for? I thought, you know these karaoke. I'll tell you what, he got up, it was brilliant. But I thought it was like, you know, like the acoustics, the system.
Yes.
If you know what I mean. Then we went into another one. Brilliant. You know what I mean? So these are like, you know, I like the likes of Geoff Hogarth. He said, you know, was there any, you know, he never made or should have been up there with the Beatles? And I said to you before, and the likes of Les, he's amazing as a singer because he's got that kind of voice. Mike Brownie's joined Carol Barnes. Geoff Hogarth, you know, she's an half coming out with some things. A legendary story. Thanks for sharing, Geoff. That's nice. So, you know, getting back to a question, can Geoff like ask, you know, about a band who should have been up there with the Beatles, you know, like forefront of.
I have to think about that.
You would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know, because they say about Francis Gallagher. Hiya, Francis. How are you, mate? He's all the way down there in Bournemouth. There's Francis, cracking fella. Dennis Edwards is Denise Edwards. Do you know what? I was out one night, you know, I was talking to 3 girls. They recognised me. And so anyway, talking to them, you know, 2 older ones and a younger one. And I started calling this one Denise because when they introduced themselves, so I was calling Denise for about an hour. But I was getting off, and the girl, when I was getting off, like, you know, the girl said, her name's not Denise, you know. I said, well, what is it then? And she, you know, when she introduced, this is Denise, you know, like Denise. Like,
Denise.
Yeah, this is Denise. I was calling Denise, you know, for ages. You know, if you listen to the name, oh, sorry about that. Anyway, that's why everyone who's got a name like Denise, you know, just reminds me of that particular incident.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, Dad, but I thought Rory Storm. You thought Rory Storm was and the Hurricanes was excellent.
Oh, they were.
And the Dominoes, but maybe not more so than the Beatles. But they could have. They should have done more. They could have gone further. Do you think?
I reckon that, you know...
Well, you said Beryl, didn't you? Beryl Mars, didn't you?
Yeah, but I reckon that, you know, before your dad answers, that we've got to take Rory into consideration here. Because not only was he flamboyant, but he was brilliant. He's on stage, wasn't he? You know, he was the big person on stage. He just outshone, you know, there they are. Because you have to have a gimmick like the Undertakers. They used to come on with their tall hats, you know, black hair, like the Undertakers, the way they would dress. So you have to have a gimmick, didn't you? But Rory Storm had his own. But unfortunately, we know what happened. Can you tell us?
It was a mystery why he never became as famous, well, nearly as famous as the Beatles.
Yeah.
It's a mystery. I don't know the answer to that. It is a mystery. He was really upset when Ringo left him.
Yeah,
That
because
really,
I thought you might have brought that into the equation because he left, didn't he, Rory Storm and the Hurricanes, to join the Beatles.
Yes.
Because no matter what, that's the breaking up of a band.
Yes.
One's only got to leave, and then some
The
more
dynamics
follow.
change.
Yeah, the dynamics does change.
Yes.
Unfortunately, you know what I mean. So anyway, I think. How do you think the show's going? You're enjoying it with your cup of tea?
Oh, I'm enjoying the cup of tea. It's very nice.
It is very nice.
Yeah.
See, it's not a cup of tea, really. It's a big glass of vodka.
It's not.
It's not. Listen to hear about it. That's not, you know.
No, mine's not either. It's rubbish.
Mine is no.
A lovely cup of tea. Can I tell you something, Frank? My mum and dad met at the Iron Door.
I know what your mum was. And
Well,
she was a bit. I bet you any money if she wasn't a punter on the floor dancing around with Frank with her arms around her neck, I bet you any money she was a cloakroom attendant.
She was. You heard this before? No. Yeah, she was the cloakroom girl, and that's how they met.
Isn't that brilliant?
It is brilliant.
That is, absolutely.
It is.
It's a pity your mum couldn't come today.
Yeah. She wouldn't get a word in edgeways then if she'd come. No.
Is she one of them? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, that's nice.
She can talk. Right?
Maybe next time.
Yeah, but she's good fun, my mum. So yeah, she would be good.
I like that. Good fun, me mum. No, you know, I could have asked her, Sarah. You know,
me.
I wouldn't say that, would I? Was I say that yet? I'm not like that, you know, Sarah.
Sorry, go on.
Anyway, she might have said, yeah, that was me, but, you know, my arms around you,
yeah.
and I got off to him. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
She's seen all the money there, you see. She's seen nothing in me.
He didn't do it for the money. There was.
But
Ask him about that.
I'm like, down a minute. I'm trying to get something over here.
Sorry. Oh, sorry.
See, I've just got to thank our sponsor.
Sorry, Frank.
Who's our sponsor is Robin Baines, and Robin Baines actually runs Liverpool Heartbeat, and Liverpool Heartbeat is one of those like foundations that it's the well-being of Liverpool. It's the well-being of you, me, Geoff, and Sarah here, and also of course of Jason Pennington, the producer. And this particular thing, you can come in. Where am I here? I always get. Where am I? There I am. Can you see that? Is that clear there? Yeah. Right. And that particular thing is, it's a walk, and there's a map on it. There's everything on it, and it's about a Tom Murphy walk, and the Tom Murphy walk of all his statues, because what's going to be unveiled in June is Tom Hulley's statue. Tom Hulley, don't forget, was one of the first people on the planet to organise an Olympic Games here in Liverpool. So, you know, you have all the information. You have loads of information on it. You have a map on it, which is, where am I? Upside down here. Which is there. And there's walks, there's everything. There's everything on this particular map. And it really is. Yeah, I can have this.
It looks really good.
It is. It's a great thing. So it's thank you to Robin Baines, who actually sponsors, and Liverpool Heartbeat, obviously, who sponsors the Frank Carlyle show for Access Northwest Radio and live on Facebook. So it really is. It's an honour, actually, you know, to be sponsored, and you know, for people to say, well, look, you know, we'll sponsor you because we think it's a good show. And by the response on everything, you know, all the people coming on and joining and asking questions, obviously with Geoff in today, it's become very popular. And also Sarah, who's been giving us an insight into a play that's going on at the Royal Courts. What is it?
At the Royal Court Studio. It's not a play.
No,
sorry,
no.
I just don't want people to come and expect a play. It's a film and live music and dancing.
Yeah. And
it's going to tell the story of the idol, but also recreate that kind of atmosphere and buzz.
Yeah.
And it's just for people to come and spark some memories for people.
Well, it's interaction, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Interaction and memories.
Exactly.
And you need youngsters to go, you know, the younger generation to go down to see how the Iron Door was at the time, because it was.
You're all right.
Yeah.
Do you want me to take over?
You'd have to sit on me, mate. And, you know, I'll do all this, you know, man.
I'm not doing that.
Oh, well, I'm glad of that. You're too heavy anyway. Kevin Fairclough, what inspires you to run the Iron Door?
Inspired?
What was your inspiration?
I just wanted to put I thought we could probably put better stuff on than what were already in Liverpool at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Because the cavern, wasn't it? That was like jazz, wasn't it?
It was jazz.
Before the rock and roll,
Yeah.
and as you said quite rightly before, that the Iron Door was for the rock and roll, you know, was for the up and coming bands,
Yes.
and you must have seen some like bands that came on, you know, as you mentioned before, Geoff, that they were a bit ropey, but as time went on, they became great.
Oh yes, oh yes. Well, most of the bands started at the Iron Door initially. In 1960, when we opened up, we were licensed, and we did have to put trad and modern jazz on then, because most of the youngsters, like 14, 15, 16-year-olds, who followed the rock and roll, you couldn't have allowed them into the club because they were underage. So, although we would have liked to put rock and roll on in the early 60s, that was the barrier. You know, we didn't want to be having the 16-year-old come into the club. We couldn't have allowed them in underage while it was licensed. But we did used to we run a Sunday afternoon at the Temple Bar and Restaurant in Dale Street. And that's where we first started with the in the city centre with the rock and roll. We didn't put jazz on there; we put rock and roll on.
Yeah.
Until we opened the Iron Door, that's where we started.
That's great, that, isn't it? Because you know what people tend to forget as well is that there was no alcohol sold. It was just coffee and fruit drinks, wasn't it?
Yes, there was.
I think that girl who threw her arms around me, around me neck, she must have had a bevy, mustn't she? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
I don't think, yeah, absolutely.
Well, they used to go out into the pub and get coming.
Yeah.
If they could get back in.
Well, that's right. So, Serrano Dan is a great artist, by the way. And he said was Philip's son, what's his name? He was a
Bouncer.
Yeah.
No, he took over when it was the Pyramid.
Yeah.
Now, he was sponsored by the people who owned the temple.
Right.
Harry Aikson and Harry Waterman, who were great friends of ours. And they wanted to come in from the very start because they could see how well we were doing.
Yeah.
And we used to buy the beer from them. And but they wanted to come in from the early 1960s, but we said no. But they did like the club and they wanted the club, and eventually they did get the club. And they turned it into the Pyramid, and they put him in as a front man.
The Pyramid. Yeah. And do you know what? I never ever went to Pyramid. You
No,
know? Never ever went. It was only the Iron Door that I went to.
Yeah.
Francis Gallagher said, "Has Geoff got an Everton top under his coat? He's a big blue, you see."
No, I'm a red, but I don't support Liverpool. I support Barnsley.
He's a red. Oh, that's what cracking, isn't it? I've never known a Barnsley supporter in my life ever. I've got one sitting next to me. Barnsley. I've got Barnsley supporters sitting in the studio on the Frank Carlyle show. Oh, absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Jimmy making, hiya Jimmy, he says, hello Frank. Hiya Jimmy, hope you're well. He's a big man. So we've got a big blue as with Francis Gallagher. Francis only came from around this area.
Oh yes.
You know, where I grew up.
Yes.
Known well, knows family well.
Yes.
And he just went down to Bournemouth to live.
All right. Yeah.
He lives in Bournemouth. Yeah, he does. So, you know, it's been great today. Jason, are we carrying on? What's Oh.
It's up to yourselves.
Okay, no, I don't know.
I can carry on if you want.
Oh, is that all right then? Is that okay? Because
For a little bit longer.
yeah, is that okay?
I've
4
got
o'clock.
children.
I know she has.
Just let me know when you need to.
Well, I think we should talk about Cilla Black.
Well, hang on a minute. I'm just,
sorry.
She's got kids. She's supposed
No, we
to
can
go.
carry on for a little bit. You should tell
No,
you
if you
about
want to
Cilla
go.
Well,
Black.
hang on a minute. Can I tell
But they're coming to the event to hear about Cilla Black.
Can I?
I hope so.
Jason. See, I've got the two of them now at me. Know what I mean? I'm only trying to say, well, we carry on till 4 o'clock, so that's another 10 minutes. And what Geoff will be doing, if she doesn't put in, she ain't in here. He doesn't open her mouth. It's in quiet. Anyway, what about the Cilla Black thing?
Right, Cilla. As you know, she was a typist in an office in Liverpool. And lunchtime sessions, all the youngsters, well, not all of them, they used to go to the cabin as well, but they used to make their way to the iron door for the lunchtime sessions. So one lunchtime session, Cilla comes in with, I didn't know who she was, and she comes in with a mate, Pauline. Now I think Pauline married Jerry Marsden.
Yeah.
And I was just going around to the car dome. This was Tuesday, early 60s, 61. And she said, Pauline said, is it any chance of my friend getting to sing on the stage? I said, well, you'll have to see. Rory was actually there at the time. Rory was in, I was talking to Rory when they came in. So I said, well, you see Rory and see if you pick it up. Anyway, I went to the Cardoma with a friend, and I didn't see the performance, but Rory did actually get her on the stage to sing. And I was coming back down Temple Street, and we had a huge fan in the cast iron, the wrought iron doors.
Yeah.
It made a hell of a row, this fan. But I could hear Cilla's voice competing with the fan coming through the door. A really powerful voice. So that was the first time I'd heard it. I never saw him on the stage, but that was. Yeah, so the next day was Wednesday. And on Wednesday we used to open for 5 hours, and we had the Beatles on. And 4 more bands. And I was in the audience downstairs. I was at the time, and the next thing is the audience started shouting, "Give Cilla a go! Give Cilla a go! Give Cilla a go!" And the Beatles were on, and John Lennon came to the microphone and he said, "Come on, Cyril," called her Cyril. "Come on, Cyril, get up and let's see what you can do." So Cyril, which was the young girl who I'd spoken to the day before, it turned out she was Cilla Black, Priscilla White.
Yeah.
So she sang, I don't know if she sang.
Summertime.
Summertime.
Yeah, Summertime.
And so a week later, April the 1st, we were putting an all-night session on, and I insisted to Sam that she was on the all-night session. And really speaking, that was the start of Cilla's career.
Nice. Yeah.
So that was a little story about
Isn't that incredible?
I don't think she ever denied that, though, did she?
She
always said it started at the iron door.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And he signed her at the iron door, Epstein.
Did he?
Yeah.
Go away.
Signed her prom.
No, the thing is, lots of people they just expect the Beatles to have just performed at the cabin.
I know, yeah.
And Cilla Black just to perform.
I know,
at
I think that's. I mean,
I even thought that, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I even thought that.
Yeah.
So, how many people like me would think the
Yeah,
same?
exactly.
No, that's how it happened anyway.
And that's absolutely brilliant, because Cilla Black only came from Danny Dolly Graham. Now, Danny Dolly Graham, she's the Dolly part.
Oh, right.
She's the Dolly part.
Very good.
And
I love Kit.
Danny, can you come on to our night with Paul and Tony O'Keefe? You know, it'd be great if you can. And Maria Mezzarazzoli Zidzi. Maria, can you just call yourself Maria Mansa or something like that? You know, because that name is absolutely incredible. Maria Mezzarazzoli. I think I've spelled it. No, I've pronounced it right, because she's got her husband's name who's obviously is
Yeah.
that name,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
the Stavros. So the Greek,
All right.
right, so the Greek. And Kifrari says, talk about Silla. You need Sarah on more often, Frank, to put you in check. Plus, great to see a vibrant female on the show. We have loads of vibrant females on the show, but they always start swearing, unfortunately. And she swears like a trooper, Jason said. So that's it. That's it, you know.
Mark Kimnish, is it? Said something.
Kinnish.
Yeah, he said something nice. He said he used to go past still goes past the iron door and looks at the plaque.
Yeah, I always, Mark Kinnish says, I always go past where the iron door was to see the plaque. It's an office built there now, isn't it? Yeah, it is, Mark. Yeah, it is, Mark. Ian Cousins joined. And Leah Bonnet. Oh, there you, Leah. Do you know what? I can't get it really, you know, when I finish here, I can't like get onto anything. So I'm sorry, you know, to not respond in kind.
Oh, can't you go back now? No.
Well, no, not really,
No,
because but you know, John, Leah's a very good friend of mine, friends of the family, has been for many. Grew up with Leah. Leah was younger than me. You know what I mean? She was only 2 when I was 4 going the iron door, you know, on them all-nighters. Yeah. So we're that young, you see, you know what I mean? Yeah. And Lindsay Ellis, come back tomorrow, Sarah. No, she's not coming back tomorrow. It's the end of Sarah's career on this one.
Jason.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Poor Sarah, you know, she's got kids.
Linda Ellis says, if Geoff could do it all again, would he?
Well, see,
sorry,
you don't listen to what I say, do you? Hey, that's why she's not coming back on again. She'll never ever return to Frank Carlyle's show. Anyway, see what I ask at the end of every show, and they'll all be in unison. I just say, have you enjoyed the show?
Oh, yeah, you certainly have, yes.
Would you come back again?
Oh, certainly, Frank, yes.
That's satisfying.
I think she meant the iron door, didn't she? If Geoff could, does she mean the show?
If Geoff could do it, would he? Yeah, the show.
Sorry, Linda Ellis. Sorry. So he knows what he's doing.
Let me see. So nice, yeah. So nice. He doesn't even look at me anymore. He just go. Anyway, bring on the Frank and Sarah show. Come back tomorrow, Sarah. Hang on a minute. These are all the females, aren't they? You know, it's about time.
Girl power. I think you should get Linda and Kitten myself.
Are you having a laugh? No. Are you having a laugh? If you had Kit on, she never stops talking.
Not you.
And I mean,
I'm joking. I mean that in the most nicest way possible.
Who is she? Anyway, she never stops talking. And Linda said, say that again.
I love your listeners.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice, okay. Lindsay Ellis says, been brilliant.
No, good.
Been brilliant.
Well, I've enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad
you enjoyed it, Frank.
No, not really. It's been awful. It's been one of the worst shows I've ever had in my life. And I've been waiting for this fella to come on for years. Unbelievable. I can't get it. You see, I have regulars on my show, you know, Jim. And, you know, these regulars who come on, I can't get a word in edgeways because they're always, and I have to beat them up. Because we've got a baseball back there, you know, and he just throws it over at me, and that's when they all go quiet, you see. That's when they all go quiet. No, it's been an absolutely fantastic show. I'm absolutely delighted to have Geoff along, because Geoff, would you agree to come along again?
I'd think about it. Seriously think about it, Frank. Yes.
That's excellent. And would you seriously think about bringing him down?
Yeah. Can I just say quickly about the show? My dad shared a few of the stories from the Iron Door, but you'll hear loads more at the event on the 23rd of May at the Royal Court Studio. There's loads of stories that he shared with us, all these little gems, and they're all going to come out. And can I say one more thing?
Of course you can say what
Jason, who's the producer, is actually Geoff Hogarth's great nephew, my second cousin. Just thought need to put that in there. Am I allowed to?
And that's why they're on there. No, because I was talking to, I was actually talking to Jason, and we were talking about Geoff actually, and I said I'd love him to come on the show. And unfortunately, we met under, not pleasant circumstances. That and it was Geoff's brother and Jason's dad, who unfortunately passed away. And I met Geoff, and I said to him, "Do you want to come on my show?" And he went, "Oh, I don't do shows, but I might do one day." And he's come on. And I'm absolutely delighted that he's come on, simply because he's one of the great, and we've got to have this fella on again, simply because he's got a lot more stories to say, just like his good daughter has said, because, these are iconic, these are the stories from an era where it's right from the horse's mouth. This is primary source, not secondary source, not hearsay. This is primary source coming from this man's mouth. And I've heard stories here today that I've never ever heard before. Never heard before. I remember the Silver Beetles, but Geoff put it right into perspective about the Silver Beetles and how Freddie Starr, come on, where did he get his name? And he said, "You'll have to change your name." Came up the next day. "Have you changed the name?" "Yeah, I've changed it to Freddie Starr for 2 hours." And these are the real stories from real people. These are the primary. In other words, when I was studying at university, I always remember the lecturers, no matter what lecturer it was, study primary source, not secondary. And that's it. And this is the primary source right here on my left. Anyway, Stephen Keogh's joins. Kit Friday says, "Fabulous show. Really enjoyed it. We need more of Sarah. Of course, we're going to get Sarah Beanie in." And, so, yeah, we'll have more of Sarah Beanie. Geoff, I'm going to shake that hand.
Okay, Frank.
Thank you so much.
Well,
and I'd love you to come on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I really would.
Yeah, I
Sarah,
appreciate it.
He's squeezing it really hard.
Will you come on again?
Ow!
Will you come on again?
If you let me, yeah.
If you let me. Anyway, it's just for me to say a big thank you to Sarah and Geoff, obviously. And it's just to say a big thanks as well to Robin Baines and Liverpool RP for sponsoring the Frank Carlyle show for North West Radio. And also for Jason Pennington, who sat in today.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful, as usual, because without Jason, there'd be no Frank Carlyle show, there'd be no Geoff coming on, and there'd be no the wonderful Sarah here. And I just want to thank you, most importantly, the viewers and the listeners, for joining in from all around the globe. Thank you so much. And I know in Australia, it's too early to get up because they join overnight, and it's like 6 o'clock in the morning there when they join in. But I don't know what time it is there now. Anyway, and I'm just going to say goodbye to Stephen Keogh. Thanks for joining in, Stephen, and Caroline Evans, and everybody else. And Kit Friday's called you a legend.
Oh, good.
And thank you so much. And God's willing, see us all tomorrow evening between 8 and 10 when I've got Paul McDonald, Tony O'Keefe, Dolly Graham, who's I think she'll come on if she gets hold of me, which she will most certainly. And Gary Williams. Okay, Gary, thank you for joining. See you all tomorrow. Bye now. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.